Hey everybody, I'm Andy Smith, your hostess with the mostest. I'm a 30-year comic book veteran, having worked for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Image Comics, Cross Generation, Ominous Press. You name it, I've probably worked for them. And I do other things art-wise outside of comics in the field of advertising. I've also written some books on drawing comics you might have seen. Drawing American manga superheroes, Drawing Dynamic Comics was my first book. And I also did the handy little How to Draw Superhero sketchbook where all you need is a pencil because you do all the work right inside the book. Enough about that. This is the Book Look series. The Book Look series is where I grab a book off my library. You can see the tons of books I have behind me. And I go through it page by page with you so you can see if it's a book that you might want to buy. I like to know what I want to buy before I buy it, and I feel this is a way to give you some insight into these books. So join me for today's book look. Thanks. Well, hello everybody. This is Andy Smith, your host with the most. Yeah, I know, I say hostess with the mostest in the previous recorded introduction, but I like the way it sounds. Anyhow, I'm back, your 31-year veteran of the comic book industry, and today I thought I would look through what I like to call candy comics. You're like, candy comics? What's that mean? It means it's sweet. It's like when I eat a candy bar and I get that great sugar rush and that great fun feeling. It makes me feel like a kid again. These comics right here do that for me. I've been a fan of Rob Liefeld's work since about the time I got into the industry back in 1991. That's probably when I first discovered his work. And I do have X-Force #1, not the True Believers, but the actual book. I, of course, have Youngblood #1 as well. I've got a couple copies, actually, of Youngblood #1. But these books, kind of like Todd McFarlane's Spawn, and before that, his Spider-Man work. I remember in the Kubert school showing my art teacher some of this stuff, and they're like, oh, but the anatomy's wonky, and this wouldn't work, and, you know, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying, but it's cool. And that's the thing. Kids, these comics to me, if you show them to a kid, they'll be like, holy crap, look at the stuff coming out of the page and bouncing around and the colors and stuff. And that, I think, is cool. So first and foremost, little X-Force #1, True Believers 1. If I remember reading, I think I read somewhere that this was kind of inspired by George Perez from issue of Teen Titans, this kind of opening here. And I didn't know at the time. I found out later on, listening to Rob's podcast and stuff, that he's a big fan of George Perez and his work. And met him when he was a kid and then would help him out at shows. This is a direct homage to a Teen Titans issue that George did where he did his own pencils and inks. Once again, when I saw this, it didn't really occur to me. You know, I have a memory sometimes where I can see a piece and go, oh, that's a direct swipe. And then there's other times where I just look at it and go, that feels familiar. And this just felt familiar. But it's cool. It's action-packed. The characters are coming at you, popping around. My buddy, Brad Venkata, actually did the color art on this book. Unfortunately, colorists didn't get royalties back then, so this book sold like hotcakes, but Brad didn't see a part of it. Anyhow, you got these different type of panel layouts Rob's doing with this negative space in here. The characters are all moving and jumping around. I will say there was a point before I got into comics. I always like to play with different styles. I tried kind of throwing out the window what I knew and what I learned about anatomy and stuff. and tried to just do stuff like this. It just didn't work, you know. And at the stage I'm at now, I'm pretty settled into what I do, art style wise. And, you know, I'm happy with it. I'm always looking to learn and try different things. And I know in some of my early work, I would do graphic shapes like this in the background and stuff, just to try different things. The thing I like about Rob is it's, you know, he doesn't have back then, he doesn't have a huge cadre, I guess you could say, facial expressions. But the thing that's fascinating to me about this is, and I didn't know this at the time, Rob is only 2 years older than I am. So this book came out in what, I don't remember the year X-Force 1 came out. Was it 1990? We'll just say it was 1990. He was 23, doing the pencils and inks on this stuff, getting it done, you know, hat off to him. I love this. I remember seeing this going, wait a second, where's the thumb? Where's the pinky? And then I realized, oh, okay, that's the thumb, that's the pinky. This to me was the fun, you know, I kind of enjoy this stuff a little more than Rob's current stuff. I do buy Rob's stuff still. I got the Snake Eyes stuff. And I see where he's going with his artwork. His proportions on his people are becoming more realistic than this over-exaggeration he was doing at the time. I don't know Rob other than social media and talking to him on Facebook and stuff every now and then. I've never met him in person, but I'd like to know, I assume it's a conscious effort what he's doing now. Oh, this was just great. God, I remember this, seeing this spread, all those colors back there and stuff. Big shot of Strife. He designed that costume for Strife, and I just remember thinking, wow, that is not functional from the standpoint of moving around and stuff, but who gives a crap? It's freaking cool looking. This is a book, nothing against my buddy Brad that originally colored it, but it would be neat to see this recolored today. He was great at these big shots on every page that really, you know, I remember Joe Kubert telling me one time, you know, Joe and Jack Kirby were contemporaries, but Jack was the 6-panel grid guy, 4-panel grid guy. It was a way for him to get the pages done, 3 to 4 pages a day. It's like, oh, it's a 4-panel page, 1, 2, 3, 4, all same size. 6-panel page, 2, 2, 2. And he could get them done. You know, whereas Joe was like, I like to design pages that have a nice big panel on the page to balance out with smaller panels and stuff, almost like a rhythm through the page with, you know, small panels leading to a big panel, or boom, big panel, then some small panels, so on and so forth. And when you flip through the book, no matter what page you open to, there's something cool on it. You know, that's very cool. This is cool. You can see some of the Art Adams influence in Rob's stuff right here in this character. I want to say he was using a 102 pen to ink this stuff, but I'm not sure. You know, another big shot, Domino, all these cool characters that Rob created. I can't remember that dude's name right here. I don't remember his name. Not that it matters, but... And then, you know, one of the things I do like about the coloring, I love theatrical coloring where it's like just blues and then purples and reds, the contrast. You know, they're inside this ship, so you get the feeling that everything is lit with this reddish type light. I will say Rob cracks me up because this is something I'm just so OCD and anal about stuff. This is Manhattan. And... you know, this is the bad part. Storytelling-wise, I shouldn't have to read Manhattan to know this is Manhattan. You know, there are specific buildings in New York that people know, and if you draw those, you go, oh, New York, Manhattan. Yeah, you know, he could have thrown one in. But, you know, he was probably under a tight deadline just getting this stuff out. So whatever. It's just cool looking stuff. I still get a kick out of looking at this stuff. And sometimes I'll look at this stuff and it just jazzes me up to want to draw. You know, just like looking at a Neil Adams job or Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. You know, my taste in comic book art is so eclectic. I love this stuff. I love stuff by Matt Wagner, you know, Grendel. I just like so many different art styles. Mike Mignola, you know. And my spin rack, I have a comic book spin rack next to my desk, and it has, you know, it just runs the gambit of cartoony styles up to, you know, realistic styles. So there you go. I thought I would, there's that. Now let's take a look at this Youngblood. I didn't know until I bought this image first that this Youngblood and Youngblood #1, the original printing of it, are different. He reorganized the pages in this one. The original Youngblood, Rob did the dialogue as well as the story, whereas in this one he had Joe Casey come in and rewrite the dialogue. He had it recolored by Matt Yackey, who is a great colorist. I actually met him through Dan Fragga Boom. But he reorganized the pages and stuff as well. So I've actually... That's something I should have done. I should have pulled out a Youngblood #1 and done a side-by-side so you could see the comparison. I definitely like this coloring more than the original one that came out in 1992. And I mean, this one's not like super recent. This one came out in 2010. So I mean, this thing's 12 years old right now. Favorite character out of Youngblood? I do have one. Die Hard right here. Favorite character. There's just something about that costume design I really dig. Once again, this is the style of Rob that I like the most. This time period. There's Chapel. I believe that's his name. Love these TV panels. And then boom, big 2-page spread. All the characters coming out of the ship. Time to attack. Dun, dun, dun. You get the big action stuff. The colors are still nice and bright and vibrant. It's candy, baby. This is for that sweet tooth of the mind. Give me a nice Reese's peanut butter cup or something like that. Nice sweet candy bar, Mike and Ike's. Eat that, read this, and I'm set. Image right here. This is the image that I love right here. I know Eric Larson, I believe, inked a page in this. I think Eric Larson inked this page. I think this is the one Eric inked. This nice little group shot here. And it's funny, once I found out that Rob was really a big George Perez fan, you look at some of Rob's work before he broke into the business and you can kind of see it. And the funny thing is, with what Rob's doing now, art-wise, with the more realistic proportions and such, I actually can see the Perez influence in Rob's work now. I can somewhat see it here. Like this kind of gives me a Justice League vibe, just layout-wise, not actual drawing, but the layout and stuff. George would do verticals like this. Zap. Just cool. If I ever had the time, I would do a Youngblood recreation of the cover to issue 1 because I like the layout and stuff, and it'd be fun to draw these characters. I did do a sketch of Die Hard just for fun because it was cool. Look at this. We got Washington, D.C., the White House. See, this reminds me of a panel that Jim Lee did in X-Men. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Boom. Just big in your face. I wish that I could know what it felt like for a kid to buy this book when it came out. Because, you know, when this came out, I was 23 years old. And I still dug it, but I wish I could have bought it as a 12-year-old just to see what type of feeling I would have got from looking at this stuff. Another big spread. Shaft. Right there. Bedrock Chapel. Don't know her name. Forgive me. Oh no, what's he doing to this guy? Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Ah! Oh, gross. That's gotta hurt right there, right? And then there you go. And he actually collected this. Oh, here it is. Youngblood hardcover. This collects, I think it only collects the first 6 issues, but it's all recolored and it's all re-scripted by Joe Casey. It's a hard book to find and it ain't cheap. I think the cheapest I've seen it for is $75. And I'm frugal, if you will. Another word for cheap. And I don't want to pay $75 for it. But if I could ever find that, plus I'd like to look through it first. If I could look through it and flip through it and then go, yeah, that's worth $75, okay. But I've only seen the cover and basically this, because I know this is how this first issue looks in here. But I'd like to see how the recoloring and even be able to get a sense of the re-dialoguing that Joe Casey did as well. Anyhow, I thought I'd show you guys what I call comic book candy. And my name's Andy, 31-year veteran in the comic book business. Thank you for checking out this books look, whatever. If you like this and you like exciting superhero comics, check out my First Man, superhero for a new generation. No agenda other than wanting to entertain you with great superhero action and a fun-filled story. The link is in the description below. It is in demand. I'm at the finish line drawing it. The colorist is working hard on it. I sent the first batch of pages to the letterer so we can get this thing in your hands. So please back it now. Thank you again for joining me. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Back, First Man 2 now, live on Indiegogo.